This is the 217 Recovery Podcast with Corey Winfield.
You know, when people reach out and ask for help, and it's something as simple as, hey, shipping her a box of tampons.
The one thing about this girl is she's never asked me for anything. She may have hinted about tampons.
1st of August, 2020. This is the 217 Recovery Podcast. Thanks for listening. My name is Corey Winfield, and don't have a co-host tonight. Nico, my cat, is running around the studio. She's actually jumped on the desk. You might hear her from time to time tonight, but thanks for hanging out. The podcast is going to be a little bit different tonight. Like I said, Marnie's not here, and I just kind of wanted to talk about some things in that open. You know, I mentioned when people reach out for help, and that is such a crucial time. I remember in my darkest days, it just felt so hard to reach out for help, especially after I admitted, you know, I was powerless over alcohol, and I just felt trapped by it. I didn't know what else to do, but I had promised people that I loved, that were close to me, that I would never drink again. And I would promise on everything, you know, on my life, on whatever, you know, and it didn't matter, you know. And at the time, I was being sincere with it. I didn't want to drink again, and maybe it's because I was in pain, and it hurt, and emotionally, it was just awful. So, you know, both of those hurts were just horrible, and, you know, I didn't want to feel that way again. Maybe I was just saying that because of the moment, but, you know, I really meant it. And so to reach out for help, it was huge. And a lot of times I knew what was going to happen. You know, I knew that I would need to detox in a safe spot. You know, the way I would drink it would be hardcore. And when I would go to the hospital, it would be 0.586. You know, that would be kind of an average, I'd say. And doctors and people would look at me and just be like, how are you functioning? How are you talking? What? This happens, you know, and there's a lot of people out there that share those same stories. I know that for a fact. And so I knew what was going to happen, and it was so frustrating because it was the cycle again. You know, okay, so I get out of here, and then I go to treatment, or I go home, and I start going back to meetings. Things are going to be good again, and, you know, let's just pick it up and keep moving on. But it's hard to tell that to yourself in that moment when you know, well, here's what I need to do, and here's what's going to happen, and I'm going to have to reach out because I need help. And I would lay there in bed and just think, man, I wish I just wouldn't wake up at this time. You know, I just wish this could be over. Now, you know, 20 months sober almost, and it's such a different life, and it's such a rewarding and wonderful life, and that I threw so many years away. There's nothing I can do about that. You know, it's experience, the things that I went through, and all the treatment centers and the things that I've learned along the way. You know, those I think are things that I can use to help other people, which again helps me stay sober. I had a friend reach out tonight, and I was actually at work, and I work, you probably know if you've been listening, but I do work at a treatment center. And, you know, I get a call, and I couldn't really take it, but I kind of said to the guys, you know, that were there, the people, and I was like, you know, this friend of mine, I need some help, you know, and they were like, you probably should take it. So I did, and a good friend of mine called, and I had spoke with him, I don't know, a few days ago, well, through text, and I promised him the Dale Carnegie book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I told him I'd buy it for him, you know, for his 90 days. And I thought, you know, he should be up on 90 days now. Like, why isn't he hitting me up for this book? Why isn't he hit me up at all? And he said, oh, I've just been busy. And I was like, okay. I knew right there that was a problem, but it's not my job to call him out on it, you know. I understand. I've been there. I've been through it many times myself. And when he's ready, he would reach out, and he did. And, you know, he told me he was taking naltrexone, and that, I think that's the one that is. You know what I'm talking about, right? It's like Vivitrol. It's supposed to curb cravings. Naltrexone. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not a doctor. Again, not a therapist either. I am a professional radio broadcaster, though. Anyway, so he tells me he's taking these pills, and I used to take them too. And the problem with taking these pills, it's supposed to, curb your cravings, and you're not supposed to feel as much of a buzz, I guess, if you do drink. It's kind of like Vivitrol is straight up like, I've heard people say, well, I got really drunk on it. I did too. My body did. I didn't get a buzz. I didn't get any satisfaction out of it. It was horrible. So Vivitrol does work. And with the pills he was taking, I was like, yeah, they work if you take them. I've been taking them. He told me in this text message, and I was like, okay. But again, it's not my job to call him out on it. If he needs help, he knows my number. Well, like I said, today he called, and I did call him and I talked to him, and he was pretty upset, and he just said he feels like he let me down, and that hurt him quite a bit. And I told him, you didn't let me down, man. Like, this is a process. If it was so easy, it wouldn't be a thing, but that's what makes recovery so great, is if when you put it together and you start feeling life, it's such a reward, man. I can't even explain it. If you got years sober, you know what I'm talking about. If you got months sober, you're starting to feel it, but it's so wonderful. And it's nice not to be like held down, or, to be like a slave to alcohol. I don't have to do that ever again in my life. There's nothing that right now today would ever make me want to go back to drinking. Nothing. And to feel that way, and to experience life and the ups and the downs and the worry, even worrying is great sometimes, just to feel again and not have to drown it in alcohol is just, it's so rewarding. It really is. And you realize that you can actually handle problems that you never thought you could. And the Big Book says that too. Like, we can face life and handle problems that we never thought we could have, but we can. And people do it every day. But for us, it's a lot different. We use drugs, and that's how we cope. And unfortunately, that's just not healthy. And as good as it can make us feel at first, at the end of the day, we're all just at the end of the rope going, just, I don't want to be here anymore. Meaning in the addiction. So when he told me that, he was afraid that, well, not afraid, but he just felt bad that he had upset me and let me down, and I just told him, it's a long process, longer for some. If you've been drinking for 25 years, do you think it's just going to be that easy? It took me 4 years before I finally, put a year together. 5 years ago today, I'll tell you this story. I lived in Fort Smith, Arkansas, and I worked for iHeartMedia. I did afternoon drives for KKBD, which was Big Dog 95.9 in Fort Smith, and I did afternoon drive on KIGL, which is the Eagle in Fayetteville. So I was based out of Fort Smith, but I was in 2 different markets. And I had just got done with like 3-month rehab thing, or supposed to be going for 3 months. It was just, I don't know, it was bad. Like, 2015 was a really weird year for me. That's when I almost died. I had a lot of time off work, but I was still getting paid. I had so much vacation time, so much sick time that, I was able to go to a treatment center in California, which didn't really work out so well. That was my first treatment center ever, so that was kind of weird. I get home, and I think I got it, and then my mom has to fly down to Fort Smith because she could tell I was drinking, and kind of straightened me out a little bit. July comes, and I'm kind of dabbling back in alcohol again, thinking that I can drink just on the weekends, and it starts going back to, I would go to work. I remember I would get to work about 10 o'clock in the morning, and I would start dry heaving because I didn't have any alcohol. And at that time, I kind of figured it was probably something to do with alcohol, but I didn't want to admit it. And I wanted to just say that I was nervous. And there was a lot going on in my life at that time. The girl I was seeing told me that, she was pregnant. And I was excited. And next thing I know, the radio station I had started at in Benton Harbor, Michigan, reached out to me. And they were like, hey, how about you, think about coming back? And I told them they wouldn't pay me enough. And then they told me, yeah, we'd pay you what you're making now. And I was like, okay, well, let's talk about it. So, I was kind of nervous, but it wasn't the nerves that was making me throw up while I was at work at 10 in the morning. It was the lack of alcohol and the detoxing and the fact that my liver was not still even close to 100% healed. And here I am trying to drink, 100 proof liquor, and it just wasn't working. My body was just rejecting it. So it was really tough, man. It really was. And, to accept the job and move back to Michigan and leave, I owned a house and had a nice car and this and that and, whatever. I was miserable. And then I moved back to Michigan, and this is where I experienced my first dry drunk symptoms. And I didn't even know what a dry drunk was. I wasn't going to meetings because I didn't need them. That's what I thought. I thought I didn't need meetings. I'm not like those other people. When they say alcoholic, they mean like the guy who, is just out of control alcoholic and, beats his kids and gets in fights with his friends at the bar. That's an alcoholic, loses his job. That wasn't me. So I didn't need meetings. It was just a process, man. That was the beginning process for me, and it's different for everybody. So my mom, I remember, said to me one day that, I seemed like I was a dry drunk because I was really irritated. And a lot of that had to do with I took the job and I had no idea how bad that radio station was, in disarray and just a mess. It was a mess, and I did not prepare myself for that. Then the girlfriend's like, oh, I lost the baby, I'm not coming. And I was thinking, oh, well, she must have had an abortion. Was it a miscarriage? And I'm just going back and forth, and it was horrible. Just a horrible place to be in, suffering from depression. All this hits me. And then, of course, the lack of alcohol causes more of a depression. It's just a horrible time. And then I went to seek treatment in Grand Rapids at Pine Rest. And when I got out of there, and I had told the radio station in Benton Harbor, I'm like, hey, I'm going. And they're like, yeah, go. We got everything. I'm like, I scheduled music, through next Thursday or whatever. And they're like, yeah, go ahead. We got you, go get better. And then I get out, and they're like, hey, we need to meet with you immediately. And then they're like, you're suspended for 2 weeks with no pay. You're demoted from the morning show, and you're demoted from being program director. I'm sorry. I told you I was going to this place for depression, to help out with that and to see what's going on. And you're going to tell me because, wow, yeah. But I don't want to work for those people anyway, and I don't work out in the end how I was supposed to. And, they're still horrible people, and, it is what it is. Like I said, I'm glad I don't work there anymore. But that was just such a tough time. And, to try to quit drinking during all that stress and all that other stuff going on, it just adds to it. So what I'm trying to say is whatever's going on in your life, it can get better. Just allow it to. Things start to seem like they're getting worse, then just look at yourself. It's time to change. What are you going to change? I don't know. You know that, though. Make those small changes, and it's easy to do it if they're smaller. If you want to just go ahead and try to change everything in your life, I guess it could be done, but it doesn't normally happen that way. At least it didn't for me, and for other people I see. And like I said, at the treatment center I work at, there's a lot of people that come in to treatment. A lot of people go to treatment for the first time. A lot of people go to the treatment for the second, third, fourth, fifth. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. And you can't say, well, I've already been there 6 times. Well, maybe it's the 7th that you're going to kind of change something about yourself. Maybe you change your attitude when you go there. When when you go to a facility like that, the first time I went, I was afraid. I was scared. I didn't know what to expect. My mom's trying to get me to watch 28